How is our weekend? I want answers. So today we are going to be working, and then I also want us to talk when we are working on various implementations of various things that we are working with. So give me a minute. I need to adjust. Okay. So let me present my screen for us today. Let me know if you can see my screen test. Can you all see my screen? Can you hear me at all? Okay, great. Okay, so today we are going to be focusing on GitHub. Remember, we've talked about Git last week, on Wednesday. So today we are going to be focusing on GitHub. I remember giving us an assignment. I've forgotten what the assignment is, but who can remind us? I think I asked you to find the difference between something and one thing or so. And I also want someone to also talk to us about what we talked about last week. You can mute yourself and just go ahead. Someone should volunteer for us, please. What we talked about last week, and then if you can also remember, I asked you to check out something last week. Augustine, anything? Because of our time, what we talked about last week is Git, and last week we were able to demonstrate a little bit of working with Git on our local PC. But today we are going to be working with GitHub, and I'm also going to be demonstrating. It's going to be a continuation of what we've learned last week, right? But we're going to be pushing what we've learned last week to GitHub, which is a remote server. So first thing is, first of all, let us go to our folder that we used last week so that we can continue from there. We created a text for charity last week, and I asked you to put everything. Okay, I asked you to put everything there. So if you type the status, it will show you what is in our file. So it shows that I deleted something. So and that is because this is what Microsoft Word is using to track our document. So if I check everything that is there, you see our file is still there and the image I put there is still there. Let me add this. Git commit as I'm committing my latest changes. Moving Word. And then if I put this status again, so there's nothing there to commit again. So for today, we are going to be looking at what is the relationship between Git and GitHub. So if you go down, we're going to be talking about GitHub itself, what it means in terms of collaboration, and then the terms, and then we are just going to do some kind of hands-on. So GitHub itself is a hosting platform, but not like hosting of a website. So hosting platform in the sense that it hosts all our Git projects, right? So think of it like a Google Drive that can hold all your documents in the cloud. The same thing is with GitHub. It can hold all your Git related projects. So you can just push all your Git related projects on GitHub. So that's just what it is. You can still take all your Git related projects and put it on Google Drive. But then remember that you can't work with Google Drive using Git commands. No. But GitHub is enabled to use Git command. You can interact with it using Git commands, and then you can also interact with it using a GUI. So you will see why you can't use Google Drive for anything related to GitHub when you see the interface and all the things GitHub provides. Alternative to GitHub, which offers the same thing in terms of using Git, which is a hosting platform for Git-related projects, is Bitbucket. We have Git Labs. We have Microsoft as well as their own Git versioning for Azure projects. So I think we have multiple of that. I think we have Kraken. I'm not too sure. So, but the popular ones are GitLab, Bitbucket, and then GitHub. So going forward, when it comes to Git and GitHub, what exactly is the relationship? And the main relationship is collaboration, right? So when you think of it like as this, Git is a versioning system, right? You can use it to version your document. But what if you also want someone somewhere to contribute to that same document you're working on? And that's where GitHub comes into play, right? Although even with that collaboration, you can still store your document on GitHub, but to really harness the power of GitHub, we have to talk about collaboration. So let's take for instance now, Augustine and then and Grace that just joined. They both want to collaborate on a particular document. So both of them are going to be able to access a single account on GitHub, right? Do their work locally and then push their changes to GitHub, and then they can easily merge it together. They can see the changes and what is going to be the resulting changes. Also, they are going to see everything in GitHub. And then each can also pull each other's they can put their colleagues change their work down to their local laptop. So we're going to be demonstrating everything. Yeah. So the first thing is for you to create an account on GitHub, which for me, I already have an account. And then I also expect you to have an account. Okay. Akpemi is asking a question. Says that how can someone get out of Git on the terminal? Each time I'm open my terminal, it always shows Git from start. You don't need to. I'm guessing it's going to show that Git for you. One thing on Windows is that Git itself has its own terminal, right? So you might be using Git terminal itself. But if you're not using Git terminal, I don't think you should worry yourself about it because it doesn't mean anything. It just means that Git is activated. So, and Git will always be activated by default. And that's how it should be. So you don't need to worry yourself about it. And it doesn't also mean that immediately you create a folder, all your files are already initialized with Git. No. Until you run that code Git in it, it's not going to happen. So you don't need to have any fear from that. So going forward, I believe we've all created our account on GitHub. If you're not, please go ahead. You can go to github.com and create your account. I have my account here. So if you create an account, you go to, this is the first place it's going to take you. I'm going to show you this, and you can customize this page as much as you like. And let me talk to you a little bit about this. This page shows your contributions, your GitHub contributions, right? It shows you what you work for from the over the years. I've opened my own GitHub since 2016. So in 2016, I only have one contribution. In 2017, I have 60 contributions. Then 2018, I have 222. 2019, I have 800. You must probably have seen people on Twitter that to be showcasing their contribution, flexing their muscles that yes, I'm contributing to Git. Why this doesn't mean anything, but some employers might probably see that, oh yes, you have so many projects that is going on, but then don't let it confuse you that okay, you're actually good. Don't let it get to your head, because it's the major thing lies in you being able to showcase that work. So you can see that all those all contributions of mine. So over here you can also see details of these contributions. So, and then you can also see a little bit of achievement that GitHub gives people. So that's this. This tab shows the repositories that I have. This shows the project. Another thing GitHub gives you is that you can run a full managed project, like talk about Trello, like a project management system. You can do it on GitHub. You can also build a package. A package is something that it's like, let me show you, it's a miniature software or a miniature program. Let me use program. So a program that anybody can install to do one task or the other. Then stars is what is like you favoring a particular thing on GitHub. That's just what it means. So first, I believe you'll have created your account. So one thing I also wanted to do is that you make sure that the email you are using on GitHub is also the same as the one you use when you are doing git config. Remember, we said if you do git config, is the email. This email that you've set up using Git, also let it be equal to the email you set up on GitHub. The reason is because so that everything can will, let me say, align, right? Because you won't want to freak out if you go to GitHub and then you see another email which is different from your own email or the one that you know. So it's just make everything to be in sync. So the first thing we are going to do here is to create our first repository. So you can click on this plus button and click on repository. And let me explain a little bit of repository. Let me go to terms first. Let me explain this before going back to our hands-on. So repository is like is a project on its own. Let's say a repository is like a project. So short form of it is a repo. So it's like a project or a folder. So as you have a folder, if you have a new project, you probably create a folder for it, right? And then start working inside that folder. Everything that has to do with that project, you put it inside that folder. That's just the repository it's all about. So you create a repo for each project you want to put on GitHub. So you can have different projects in a single repo, but it's up to you. So there is no rule that says, okay, it must only be one project. But ideally, you want to have only one project inside a single repository. And then another word is push. Push means that you take your local branches and you are sending it to GitHub. That's the remote repo. So remember, we have been calling it folder. We have seen that folder or your project. So, but we can call it a repo. Since I've explained what a repo means, we can say repo. So you can have a local repo and you can have a remote repository. Remote repository means that something that is not on your laptop, from the word remote. Remote means that something are far off. So like remote jobs, remote work, you're working from home remotely. So that it also means the same thing here. That's a remote repo. That means a repo that is not on your laptop, but probably in the cloud. And this means GitHub since in this context of our teaching. So it means GitHub. So you're having a remote repo, which is GitHub. So push means that you are pushing your local repo or your local changes to GitHub. which is also your remote repository. And then pull request means that when it comes to pull request, just means is a word used in collaboration. So you two people are working on the same project, but the repository will belongs to one person, either you or the other person, or to the organization, because you can also create an organization account on GitHub. So the repo can also belongs to an organization. So pull request means that you've done your work, but you want someone to review it. So instead of pushing directly to the branch, you are going to submit a pull request, or let's call it like you submit a review. As it's just like saying that you submit a classwork. But in this case, you are submitting your changes to be reviewed or to be matched. Or let me rephrase that. You are submitting your changes to be matched, but before it can be matched, someone might need to review it, or might just match it straight away. So it just means that you are saying that, okay, this is my changes. Can you please merge it to this particular branch? So I'm going to be seeing this also in action. README. Now, README is like is a description. It's a file that you can use to talk about the project, the repository. So you can talk about the repository. You can talk about how to run it, how to work with your repository, how to collaborate with your repository. So it's like a description file. But note that it is not, you can't, it is the README is always in Markdown. So it's not, there is a type of document called Markdown. It is just like Microsoft Word, but then it has some flavors to it, some kind of syntax to it that helps you format your document faster. But it's called Markdown. So you can also use text, but conventionally it is Markdown is used for it. And fork, we have fork here, and fork means that you are taking a copy of another process repo. Now, fork comes into play whereby you have a repo, and then someone doesn't want to, the person doesn't want to add you to that repository, right, as a collaborator. But one thing you can do is that you can take a copy of that person's project, make your changes, and then make a pull request from your own forked repo and to that person's repository. So it's just like saying that you are taking a copy of the person's repo, working it on, you're then working with it on your own account. So another one thing also is that when you fork a repo, it shows where the source. So it makes sure that person's the original contributor is in the copy, meaning that you can't just copy someone's work anyhow. So that's what fork is. So let's go back to our UI and create a repository. So for a repository, you can have a template and you may not. But for me, I have a template here, but I'm not going to use a template. So you can just choose a repo name. Remember that it will ask you who is the owner. So, but for me, I'm going to use myself as the owner of the repo, and then the name of the repo. Now, the name of your repo has to be unique. You can't have two different repos having the same name on GitHub. So if someone has used Tech for Charity before, I can't use it here. So let's see. It's available. So if I use it here, no other person can use it here. Another thing, okay, let me rephrase that. I think you can still use it because it is always partitioned by your owner. So anybody can still use it. I think I should be corrected on that. So let me correct myself on that. You can use any name here, but you can't have the same name of the same repo on your own. Two repos on your account having the same name. You can't have it. So if you notice, I have a repo called Yoruba name. So let me see. Let me go back to my repo. Let me see. It's okay. If I copy this, and I come here and I try to paste it here, you see, you say your new repository will be created as, you can say that because, okay, you see, already exists on this account. You can see that I don't have it. Earlier, if I put space there, it will put another hyphen. It's putting another hyphen in front of the name, so making it unique. But because there is a space in front, so if I remove the space, it will so that it already exists. So you can have the same name on your own account, but you can have different name. I mean, I can have the same name with Blessing. So Blessing can create tech for charity, and I can also create tech for charity because the repo will be prefixed by my own account name. So let's go ahead and say tech for charity. Now you can also put a short description here, which is optional. Yeah, you can make your repo public or private. And if you see the description here, it said anyone on the internet can see this repo. Meaning that everybody on the internet. So if you are committing, if you have a sensitive document or a sensitive, if it's a sensitive project that you don't want anybody to see, you choose private. But if you don't care who have access to it or who can see it, you choose public. But since what we are doing right now is it's not a sensitive project, and I want anybody to see it, I'm going to choose public. So you can also add a README. If you look at our file that our project here, I don't have a README here, so I can say, okay, initialize it with add a README file. And also here, let me correct that name to tech for charity instead of just for. Git ignore. What git ignore means that git ignore is like it's just a file that contains a list of items that you are saying that, okay, you are telling Git to ignore all these files, meaning that Git will never recognize them as something to be added to your project. So you use this when you start programming, probably in Node.js, and you need to remove node modules from being committed and all those things. You use that, but for now, let's leave it out. So license comes into play when it comes to copywriting, right? You can decide to choose any license you want, meaning that the person that is going to use this code doesn't own this code. It's just like seeing the ownership of the code. That's what license means. You might need to read more on it. So I'm going to choose none. So I'm going to create my first repository. You can see my first repository, it has a README file. You can see that .md, which is .markdown. And you can see the name. You can see the URL. It's prefixed. It has /Tobi. So the blessing zone might be /blessing. Augustine might be /Augustine. Depends on your username that you have on GitHub. So another thing is that this is the interface, how it looks like for a repository. This is your code. Your code is just like a list of all the things you have. This is the commit history. This is the file inside it. You can also edit this README file. Like I said, this is a markdown, right? And I can decide that I want it to be bigger, to be smaller. I can add this, and I can preview it. It's smaller. If I remove this, bigger. So you can learn the syntax on your own. So let me cancel that. Here are issues. Issues are just like something that, okay, you are saying that, okay, I discovered this. Can you please take care of it? So it's issues that, let's say, recommendations you want someone to work on that repository. And this is where the pull request lies. Actions are like how do I put it now? Automated things that you expect that you want to run. These are projects like I've explained before. Wiki is like a documentation page whereby you can just write document notes. Let's say you have a project and you have a meeting. You can just create a page and then put all those notes there. Right. For example, all these meetings that we are having, I can decide that okay, I can put all the notes there and then click on save. So you can see that it will show pages there. So that's Wiki for you. It's just like a documentation page. So there are other security settings. Insights shows how many, just like analytics of your repository. And then settings is where you set, you can change the name, you can change the default branch, you can delete it and all other sorts. But for now, let's focus on working with our repository. So I've set up this repository on your own end. For you to now bring it down to your local implementation, you need it. We use the word clone. Clone means that you want to take a copy of the repository, either put it on your laptop if you have not started working on the project on your local laptop, or if you have started, you're just going to add that that repo to your existing work. And then to do that, what we just do is this: we come here, copy this. This is the URL, right? If you post the URL here, you see that it is the exact URL we have here with .git. Git means that it's a GitHub URL. So in our code, to add it to our existing work. Now, let me put this by the side so that we can work with this. Then push this by the side. If you have any question at this point, you can also ask your question or put it in the chat. So yeah, for you to add this to your existing repository, you use this git remote add origin URL. Git means that you are calling git command. Remote means that you say that you are saying, okay, you want to work with remote things. That means something that is in the cloud, whether GitHub or GitLab. It's no more, doesn't have to do with your local anymore. Add meaning that you want to add a remote base, a remote origin, or a remote URL. Origin is the name of that remote. You can have different form of origins. You can have 3 different repository on the same work, right? So I can go ahead and say, okay, git remote and origin. Then you paste the URL you've copied. You see, you paste the URL you've copied. So, and if you press enter, it will just put it there. It won't output anything. So now, let me check the branch that I am. Well, I'm on the color branch, right? So assuming I want to push the color branch, I'll just write git. If you look at this place, I will show you why this is necessary later on. Because our color branch does not exist yet on GitHub, right? I'm going to say git push. Because this is the first time I'm pushing this branch, I will have to put -u. So origin, then color. Okay, I have to put my password. I'm always using SSH. So let me first of all stop this. So if you are working with HTTP and this is your first time, it will require that you log in on your own browser. So it will take you to GitHub and log you in, because you also need to be authenticated. And later on, you need to use SSH, which is a more secure way to interact. For me, I'm going to be using SSH, but as I use HTTPS, and then it will ask you to log in like it asks for me. At that point, you can just if I do this, because I don't use HTTP, that's why this one is giving me. You can see that it returns error, meaning that I don't have access, right? So let me do this. If I use SSH Git and remote, just remote and origin. So I'm using SSH now. Good. It says that remote already exists, meaning that I've already added a remote base called origin. So remember I mentioned that you can have more than one. So let me add another one and give it another name. Git remote origin 2, right? Or origin SSH. So you can name it anything. Let me put origin 2 and then add this. Oh, sorry. Okay, I didn't put add. It's remote add. I need to put add there. And okay, you can see that it accepts it without any error this time around. So if I put Git remote, I think to list it, I think it's Git remote list. That. Okay, good. Without list, if you type Git remote, to show you all the origins. So if you want to know the URL that this origin belongs to, it will be Git remote get URL origin. So it will show you the URL that is saved in this origin. Right. But I remember I made a mistake not the other time. Instead of using HTTP, I'm supposed to use SSH because I've already configured SSH for my own end. I'm going to remove this second one and reset the URL of this first one. Now, to remove our origin, now we just type git remote remove origin 2. So I want to remove origin 2. So if I type git remote again, I think that there is only one remote origin left, or remote base left. So let me now fix the URL for this. So I'm just going to do git remote set URL origin. So this is the new URL, which is SSH. Okay. Now let's run our git push again. Git push and work with this document. Let's push -u because it's a new repo, a new branch. Origin color. You can see it's writing the objects, resolving it. So you can see that it said pushed to remote, branch colors set up to track. So let's go back to our GitHub and see this. You can see that automatically it says that color add recent push less than a minute ago. So to check all the branches I have, I can say view all branches. I can see that I now have color. So if I go to color, I can click on color. You see that this has changed to color. Can see all my commits here. Can see all the commits I have on this branch. Who added it? when then the description I put on Wednesday, this is it. So here I can see, I can browse the history. So this is a commit. You can also branch what is inside each commit. So you can browse what is inside this commit. You can see this file is inside it. But now in the current one, we don't have it. Let me change it to color. You can see that we don't have the other one. So I also want to remove this. But instead of removing this, I can easily add this to my gitignore. So that's when it comes to pushing to your remote server. Now, there are some cases, some things where you will definitely encounter. Remember that I'm only using color branch. What if I'm using my main branch? So let me switch to main. Let's check out main. Okay, I think I'm using double OE there. That's main. So I've switched to our main branch. So let's see what happens if I try to push. Remember that on GitHub, we already have this main branch. So it's not a new branch. So I won't put some -u. So git push origin main. So you see that it said rejected. So it is rejected because there are some other changes that is on GitHub that is not on my own laptop because they are not in sync. So to do that, I can easily first of all do git push. Git pull. Git pull means that you are updating your local branch with what is on the remote branch. So let me git pull origin. So you can see that so it didn't work again because there are some changes that are not happening. There is one behind and there is one ahead. So I can easily just do git pull. That's where this comes into place. Allow unrelated history. Pull. Then the branch, that's main. Allow unrelated. So let me know if you have any questions at any point in time. Unrelated histories. Okay, I need to put origin first. I think I need to also correct that PDF. Origin. Okay, I need to set up the push strategy. So you can see I need to set up the push strategy. So I can easily just copy this. So let me put it again. So when I'm pulling, you might see something like this because I want to match a branch into mine. Right? You might have seen something like this. This is what I was talking about. That if you don't put that -m when you are committing a file, it will bring something like this, and this is called Vim. So it's like a command line text editor. So to do this, I always try to either write the message I want to write here, but I don't need to write any message because this is fine with me. This message is fine with me. All these ones are comments. This # are comments. So I'll just press column. Immediately I press column, it will show something like this, and then Q, and then I press enter. So you can see that it's merged what is on GitHub to what is on my own local branch, and I can do git push. This push main. Origin. So you need to be putting origin every now and then because you can have multiple origin. So you need to push to the right one. So if you check this, that's push. So let's go back to GitHub and see the changes. So you can see all the changes now on our main. So we've synced it. Our README is now together with what we have here. So if I check what I have, I can see README here. I can see all these ones there. So if you try other command, then if you want to check the difference between what is on your local branch and what is on the remote branch, so you can use this diff name origin. Okay. So there is no changes. So let me put origin color. So for color, it shows that there are changes. So you can see that this is for main, right? Which contains README file, which does not exist in the one on the online repo, which is what's called our color. And you can see that this also does not exist on color. I mean, this does not exist on color, but then it exists here. So that's changes. And another thing I also want to show you is the Git URL. I mean, Git GUI, sorry. So GitHub GUI. So if you think that, okay, the command line is difficult, you can also download the Git GUI. So it's like a desktop that lets you see all these things. So please let me know if you have any questions at this point. Trying to install it. Okay. So you can see this is it. Says sign up on github.com to rise. So I have to authenticate it on my phone because I'm using two-factor authentication. So all those security implementations. Do that again.
Hello, Taiwo. We have 10 more minutes to go.
Okay, I'm just showing us on GUI. So if anybody had any question, please let me know. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask before our time is up. So I'm using to use two-factor authentication. Okay. So let me see. For charity. Okay. Already cloning. So since I've already cloned it, I'll just add an existing. So here you can see how GUI works. You can easily just change it and commit and say commit. You can type it instead of you working with the GUI, you can type it and push to branch. So if I type something like let me see. Now 5 minutes. Let me remove that this. Okay. Nope, 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 nope. This is a directory file. Okay, let me just remove the first file. Okay, if I come here, you can see it says one file changes, and this means that it's a deletion. So that means I deleted the file. If you see a yellow, it means that you edited the file, and if you see a green, it means you added the file. So let me try to see if I let's come back here. You can see it's green now. It's showing green here because it's a new file. So you can say deleted, new. So I can come here and say this is summary. I said showcasing GitHub GitHub. So and then if I click commit to name, I think I didn't get the spelling right. So yeah, I just committed it. So if I click on this push, so you can look and see that discover that it has been pushed to the origin. So if I come here and check it again, let me reload this. You can see our new file is there, but the old file is gone. So instead of you using the command line, you can also use the GUI, which is very helpful. So that's another thing. You can always add new repository or clone existing ones from here. You can clone a repository, create a new repository, add existing one. So it's your choice whatever you want to use. I prefer using the command line, but then it's your choice whatever you want to use. So that is all from me. Even any questions? Any questions from anyone?
Thank you very much, Toby. If there's no question, let's call it a day. We still have next this Wednesday and then the upcoming Saturday. As
One more thing, this upcoming one, we are probably going to be talking about creating pages. We are going to create a complete project as a whole. We are going to create the pages. We are going to work with pages, wiki, everything from beginning to the end. So by Wednesday, before Wednesday, that's tomorrow, I'm going to send like what we are going to be doing. It's not going to be, it might be code related and it's going to be code related. I'm not too sure. So I don't want to do something that none of us can relate to.
okay, thank you very much then. Everyone do have a nice day. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.